Good morning, you little fuckers, and welcome to the Four Seasons podcast.
What up? Good morning.
gentlemen.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing this wonderful, blessed morning?
I'm alive. I'm
Grand
here.
Rising, Grand Rising. Welcome in.
Good morning.
How are we doing this morning, Mike?
The enthusiast is there.
I am doing outstanding. Hopefully, you guys are doing pretty well.
We are blessed and amazed and ready for another debate, you can say.
Are we?
First of all, before we start talking about this topic we're going to talk about, have you guys heard anything or received any comments from our previous podcast?
Yeah.
And any feedback?
What they've been telling you, Mosca.
I was going to bring that up. I'm asking you guys first.
I have received from other people that I've shared to, that some people that aren't on TikTok, and they like it. Men and a couple of women that I know that enjoy podcasts that I've known for a long time. They enjoy it. So all positive feedback, nothing negative yet.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of women that enjoyed it. Some guys that reached out and said, "Man, you guys are speaking some facts." And then I had one person that, it was two people that I haven't heard from in a while. And one of them accidentally called me on Snapchat, and I'm like, "Did you call me?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was an accident. I was trying to click to listen to the podcast." And then I had a person that I consider family, like, randomly reach out and say, "Hey, I listened to the podcast. I really enjoy what you guys talking about. I look forward to more episodes."
Cool. Yeah, I received a couple of not good messages, but we'll talk about that during our recap. I'll keep it nice and short. Vato, do me a favor. Can you fix your camera? Because we only can see half of your ear.
What do you mean? You can see half
This
of
is
my
what we
ear.
see.
This is it. Like this.
Seriously?
Yeah.
There you go.
I
There's more.
thought you were just leaning. I thought you were just leaning, but
Hold on. Let me turn this and see if this is better.
There
Perfect.
you are.
Perfect.
Nope.
Much better.
Yeah, you're good right there.
Now
There you are.
I only see myself though.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. No, there's an option. I think you can swipe right or left, but
Well,
there's an option.
I need to be able to see you guys to see who's talking. So that's there we go.
Okay,
I can
cool.
see y'all.
Yeah, you're good now.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Anyways, guys, we're going to be talking about a nice little subject today. Obviously, last week we talked about friends with exes. Well, guess what? Today we're going to talk about. Mike, you want to let them know what we're going to talk about today?
Oh, today is going to be very exciting.
It's friends with what?
Friends with what? Opposite sex.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people that have mixed feelings about this. And I have a feeling it's going to lean towards the ladies who are going to disagree. Majority of them, not all of them. There are going to be some people that are going to be on our sides, but
I don't know, bro. I can already think of two guys that are going to be like, "I did not agree with anything that you said."
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we have female friends or acquaintances, right? I got female friends, but we also got that's as far as that goes, right? But we also got close friends. So close friends is what I'm talking about, right? You know, if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't really have, this is my opinion, you should really have a close friend that's the opposite sex while you're in a relationship. No one's saying you can't have a friend or acquaintance. We all talk to different types of females on, social media, people we know for years and stuff.
Right.
But there's a difference. Like friends, you keep them at a distance. It's respectful. But there's no boundaries being crossed. There's no feelings behind that. There's probably no history. I prefer that to be that way. Most of the female friends I have, we have no history. But what bothers me is the whole close friends thing. Because usually if it's close friends, someone in that friendship put that person in that friend zone at one point. I honestly believe that from a man's perspective, there's no man can be a female's friend without a hidden agenda or
Right.
angle
Right.
about it. Uh, are there maybe a small population of guys who are friends with females just for the fact that they're just friends? Maybe, but in today's society, hell no. I don't believe
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and what does that do? It brings insecurities. There's an emotional connection right there, especially if they have that close friendship. And then there's the other side of that is how many times do we run into, let's say your ladies or the women you date in the past, you didn't know that they have friends until the last minute. Oh, he's just a friend, or I've known him for a while. Well, how come I didn't know about that?
Right.
Well, I didn't think it was important. I was like, damn girl, you know all my female friends. And you don't think that's important to bring that up in the beginning of a relationship so we can, be transparent. So yeah, I don't trust it. I don't trust it as long as both parties are on the same page. But if both parties are not on the same page, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna agree to that. That's one of my boundaries.
I have a lot of female friends. Um,
Do tell.
none of them that I have any history with. I don't keep women around that I have history with. So all the female have friends that I have, there's no like physical attraction there. It's more of just like a homie with a ponytail type deal. You know what I mean?
Or you
And
mean your end you don't have female like the attraction, or is it mutual?
it's mutual because I wouldn't want to mislead anybody. I wouldn't want to be friends with anybody who has an ulterior motive because
Do
I
you
know it's not because I know it's not going to go anywhere.
do you 100% know that none of these females that you're friends with, if given an opportunity, would they take a chance with you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Ah,
Probably. I mean,
see,
but but
gotcha.
but I don't open the door.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't walk through a closed door.
We've
I
So
had
mean,
that
that being
conversation a
said,
couple of.
be okay with your woman. Let's say you date a woman and she has guys, or there's a possible chance of them getting with her if she gave them the opportunity. Would it be okay for her to keep them around?
well, in that instance, I feel like if your girl has a close male friend, obviously you're in a relationship with her and you're going to know that guy. You're going to see how he reacts. You're going to see how he acts with her, how he associates with her, how he, prioritizes things about that. And you're going to go ahead and make that assessment whether or not you need to talk to that man and be like, hey, check this out. I know you guys are friends or whatever. That's cool. I got my fucking eye on you, and that ain't going to change. But just know, I know. And then it just circles back to how much do you trust your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever she is to you.
See, that's where I kind of run into a roadblock there because let's say I keep a woman around that wants to be with me if I give her the opportunity, right? And then my girl says, why you keep her around? Oh, she's a good friend. Well, she tries to get with you. Well, I don't feel the same way, but I'm just a nice guy. You know what that tells her? That tells her I'm keeping options open.
Well,
And
no, well,
I'm stringing that person along for this emotional freaking roller coaster. So eventually, one day, things don't work out with me and my girl. I at least have that person to fall back on. Now, most people might disagree with that, but that's what it looks like. There's
no,
no
yeah,
purpose. There's no purpose to keeping such a person around in your relationship to possibly interfere or bring any type of temptation into it.
yeah. No, I 100% agree with you on that. Um, and if you have that female friend around that you know or that you might think would try to do something like that, then yeah, that's obviously on you to cut that tie so that way you don't have any issues. Um, not saying there ever would be, you know what I mean? But like I said, if you were to open the door, there it would come. But that's up to you not to open that door and be like, you know what, or don't even have contact with them. Just don't even have contact with them. If you feel deep down that it's going to cause an issue, don't have no contact with them.
That's good. So if your girl, let's say hypothetically, your girl says, "I don't want you to be friends with her anymore," what would you do? And
Take a
you
sip of
love
his
it.
wine.
Well, yeah. Well, if that person was indeed my friend, I'm going to go to that person. I'm going to tell him, hey, so and so feels this way. I know there's nothing between us, so we're not gonna be able to associate. And if you're somebody who's truly your friend, they're gonna understand and they're gonna be like, okay, you know what, that's cool. And then you know what, later on, maybe down the line, if your girl, you end up getting serious with your girl, then your girl will know, like, okay, fuck, well, oh, this bitch is really just a friend. You know what I mean? There's really nothing there. Maybe. Not saying all women do that, because a lot of women don't like men having women as friends, but understandable. I've been there before too, where when a girl had a guy as a friend. um they were really nothing because he was married or whatever, but that doesn't stop anything. So
Right.
you have your speculations.
That
It's,
doesn't
it's like
stop
I've
anything at all.
it's like I've said on earlier talks, and you were in there. I don't think Vato and Mike were there, but we were talking about the whole. We all have that one friend. As soon as you open that door, they're gonna jump on it.
Mhm.
We all have that friend. We all have
Not
that
me.
friend.
I don't
No,
have.
no.
I push everybody away.
w- I'm
I
not
do.
saying you. I'm saying there's that one friend in your circle, or even somebody that's just a friend that if she comes up to you and she finds out as soon as you're single, she'll be the first one in your DMs.
In the past, yes, I have. I have.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in general. Like we
Yeah.
all have that one friend that's just waiting for us to open that door. And I've said that. I even said that to females because it's easier for females to have men. And it's that video that you sent me, Mike, about the girl calling the friend and telling her that she was broken. They've been friends since elementary, and she called them and she told them, "Hey, you know what? I need some cuddling time."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Oh hell yeah, well, fuck." I was like,
Well, there goes a friendship.
you guys were friends since you guys were 7 years old, and all of a sudden you're gonna throw it away just because she's single?"
You know what's crazy?
Mhm.
She's still probably friends with him. Fine.
Oh,
Probably.
fuck yeah.
He got very
Yeah.
emotional on that one, but no. Uh, yeah, I can't do it. Like I learned from the past. I used to be that guy that would be like very nice and have a lot of female friends close that I would go to for advice. And that caused a lot of problems because that me with that mindset, especially when being confronted about it, like who's this girl? I'm like, oh, I've known her for a couple of years. Usually I go to her advice, relationship stuff like that, vice versa. But then when it started causing problems in my previous relationship, like a year or so ago, I just like, no, that's too much drama. Like I can't juggle. And plus, when you have like a female friend of opposite sex, that's a lot of emotional fucking baggage that you're holding on to because not only you're dealing with your own shit, but you're dealing with problems that she's dealing with, and vice versa, right? So when I started adopting the whole, okay, I'm gonna have female friends, but I'm keeping at a distance, especially when I'm in a relationship, that was a lot of stress off my back, unwanted stress.
Mhm.
Right.
Now I can focus on my own relationship, and I wasn't investing my mind or the emotional, my mental aspect in somebody else when I can just focus it 110% on the person I'm with.
Right.
I think the problem when we invite that type of environment where we're too friendly with a whole bunch of people, then we start neglecting who's right in front of us.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
And sometimes, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, let me ask this question, but I know by the back of my head what answers what Vato's gonna answer, but I got a question for you guys, and obviously I want Vato to answer it too. You're in a relationship. Obviously, Vato's married. Mike, you're in a relationship. So between us two, we're the only ones single. But if we're in a relationship, full blown relationship, 3-4 years in, and you have a friend, not a best friend as an opposite sex, but just a regular friend, and she needs you can tell she needs help. You can tell she needs somebody to vent to, somebody to talk to. Would you, Nick?
Would I let her vent?
Yeah. Would you reach out, or would you, if she reaches out to you, would you accept that call? If you're in this strong relationship.
Well, I think I would talk to my, if it was somebody you're, friend with, I think I would talk to my spouse first and be like,
Mhm.
hey, I have, obviously that if it's your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever, they're gonna know about that person. You hear daddy in the background. But obviously you're gonna you're gonna talk to them and be like, hey, so and so is, going through some shit or whatever. Do you feel like it's okay to speak to her or him? You know what I mean? Whatever the case
Right.
is.
Right.
And you would, you would get their well wishes first. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, fine, that's fine. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're not gonna go meet up, but if it's a phone call or
Yeah.
something like that, yeah, sure. But as long as you okay it with your person, I think you'd be okay.
Mike?
There got to be some boundaries set. You know what I'm saying? Like if I did have, a female friend off in business that was complaining, yeah, I would do the same thing as Nick. I would like call my girl, hey babe, this is what's going on. You know this person, she's reaching out. She just needs someone to listen to her. I'm gonna let you know what we talked about. Obviously, there are gonna be some boundaries. I think that's number one thing. If she does agree with that, as long as you're transparent with it and you're keeping your spouse and your girl on board with that, then you let her know what's going on. Then I don't think it's an issue. But also, when you're having that conversation with that friend, you have to set some boundaries in there. Because with what happens when certain people get emotional, they start getting attached. The idea that you're always going to be there. It's like feeding a freaking cat, a stray cat. What happens if you feed a stray cat? That fucking cat can come back over and over again. So you just got to be careful with that and make sure you set boundaries when you're having that type of conversation. And then if you're trying to give them advice, I would say give advice about how, say, hey, me and my girl, you always have to put, your girl in that situation as a good, positive role model or example. That's how you keep that conversation from going south or going somewhere where you don't want it to go. Because it keeps them in their place and it keeps you in your place, and there's going to be a healthy boundary right there. So I think we just got to be smart about it. We really do. And Nick, I agree with you. You got to let your spouse know. You got to keep them on board. You got to be transparent with them because you expect them to do this. You want them to do the same thing, especially if guys are calling her. You know. But yeah, I do. I agree with you, Nick. 110%.
Vato?
So about 85% of the clients that I have are women.
Go on.
What is it?
Go on.
Is that better? Like 85% of the clients that I have are women. 85%, 90% of the customers that I have are women. So, but I agree with what Mike is saying because even though some of them are just clients, women are very emotional. A lot more women think with their heart and their gut than they do with their logical brain. Us guys, we're way more logical. So there's that. Um, with all that being said, Annie knows if Annie there's my boundaries. There's the boundaries that I'll set with my friends and clients, right? Because a lot of the clients, man, eventually they want to get in that friend zone sometimes. So they don't want to just have you as a professional in their life sometimes because of the conversations that you have, because they're emotional, more emotional creatures. A lot more of them think more with their heart than they do with their logical brain. So with with all that being said, there's those boundaries that I set, and then there's the boundaries that my wife sets. So I have to keep account of both of the boundaries because I don't have a lot of women friends, a lot of women that are my friends. They are usually clients, acquaintances, business partners. But I feel like you build a closer rapport with business partners than you do with clients. And you have to be careful with that because I've seen it in my line of work many times where there is an emotional connection somewhere in there. So it's like Mike says, it's hard to have friends of the opposite sex, period, when you're in a relationship because there is going to be an ulterior motive. And most of the time, whether women want to admit this or not, it's going to be men that have this way of thinking. Not like we said earlier, there's a short amount of men that genuinely just want to be your friend and want to be there for you and see you like a sister.
Right.
But there's a bigger amount of men that see you as the stepsister. I'm step bro, type of shit. So you have to be really careful with those lines. Annie, she doesn't have any guy friends. Like she has acquaintances. We have business partners. But Annie doesn't go and on these like you said it once, dates with guy friends. That doesn't exist in our marriage. And it comes because after being together for 14 years, the amount of dudes that had slid in her DMs that pretended to be her friend, pretended to be my friend, and then later on came out with some bullshit, So there
Yeah.
there is no there in our way of thinking and mine and Annie's way of thinking, if the like Nick, you said it earlier, you have to know the guy. Well, if he's my friend, he might also be Annie's friend, but at the same time, there is no too much conversating on the side. I know that like Annie right now with what she's doing, she'll ask me questions about videos that she's gonna post, and then I'll give her my advice, and then I'll say, ask Mosca about it as well. Because Mosca knows what Annie does for he knows what her little side hustle is
Yeah,
or
for her
whatever.
business.
Hmm.
And Mosca will give her advice on little things to post as well. And here's the thing, guys, like Annie and I, we've developed this thing where we have each other's everything. If she wants to go through my shit, she can go through my shit. If I want to go through her shit, I can go through her shit. But the thing about that I love about Annie that keeps us in a place is when somebody disrespects our marriage, she'll tell me. She will tell that person to be respectful, and then she'll tell me that it happened. And then if the person continues, then she'll tell me again, and that means go take care of it. Because
Right.
your partner is supposed to take care of it, period. Right? So, anyways, and same with me. When somebody crosses a little bit too much, I'll tell Annie. So it's I mean, there is gonna always be the guy that was friend zoned that is waiting to try to get in there because it's easier. Like, okay, a woman who's single, she's got options. She's talking to 5, 4, maybe she's talking to just one guy, whatever. I'm not trying to call women out for what they're doing, but these women are talking to all these guys. The man thinks like this: a woman that is in a relationship, I only have to compete with one guy, the spouse or the boyfriend.
Yep.
And all these men know that it's easier to compete with one guy than compete with 5 or 10 or 20 guys that are trying to be in her DM. So for us, like being together as long as we've been able to recognize when people are genuine about their things, and we're vibe readers. You know, we're energy readers, so we instantly know. Especially Annie. Annie will tell me something. If Annie tells me to unfriend a girl, it's for a reason. If Annie tells me to unfollow somebody, it's for a reason. She rarely does, but every time that she's told me to, and I left those people around, she was not lying. They're very dramatic. Their energy is very low. Their frequency is very low. She's able to catch those things before me. So we have friends with the opposite sex, but usually it's a business partnership or their clients. Other than
Yeah.
Right.
that, no girl comes over and hangs out with me by herself unless Annie knows about it and she's involved. And no girl comes over here unless she's gonna come over and do some breath work. For the most part, I do everything like this. We really don't let people bring their energy into our house. But yeah, no, they're like we have the understanding that most men, whether women want to believe it or not, and it goes the other way as well. It's not just men, but a lot of men, they rather compete with one husband than 10 guys that are in the DM. Just easier
Yeah.
for them.
So
So
if you dare to say that if you're in that type of relationship, it had, if let's say my girl says, "Hey, I don't want you to be friends with that person, that person, that person," best believe you, if you're holding to me to that standard, it has to go both ways. That's only
right,
how that relationship works.
right.
I've been in relationships where my ex went through all my phone lists and got rid of everything unless it was a relative, right? But the moment some guy comes around the corner and she's liking pictures or doing something or talking to somebody or going out with somebody, oh, he's just a friend.
Yeah.
No, no. So I dealt with that stuff. So when I got into this
Oh,
relationship, I made my boundaries real clear. I'm like, look, just like you and Annie have access to everything, I have access to everything. She has access to all my stuff. So, we're very transparent with that. And she and I tell her, I was like, if you see something and you don't like it, you have permission to delete it. You have permission to block. You have permission to do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel secure in a relationship, and vice versa. So, if you're in that type of relationship, make sure you're holding each other to the same standard when it comes to if you get that little vibe about somebody that's might be impeding on your relationship. So just keep
I
that.
Right.
have a
Right.
question for I have a question for the ladies when they hear this. Please let us know. When you hear this, either post it in our podcast or let us know in the recap.
Before you
Go
ask
ahead.
the question, ladies, you can answer it in the comments on either down below on YouTube, or you can answer on the comments on Spotify. On Apple Podcast, you can leave a comment. Shoot your question.
Okay, so my question is, why is it that when you all ask us to get rid of certain people, for the most part, we won't even question it and we'll do it. But why is it that when we have the logical and gut feeling about somebody and we tell you about it, why do you guys choose to continue to keep them around?
Uh-uh. Put your hand down.
That's a question for the ladies. I want to know because I don't have that problem. If I tell Annie that I don't appreciate a certain person, that person's gone from her social media platform and vice versa. But the thing is, as a mind body medicine coach, and when I'm coaching people and they are having issues in their relationship, I'm talking to both parties. Usually the problem is that one of the two is doing what the person is asking, but then when the other person, usually the guy, asks, why aren't you doing what you're asking me to do?
They
There's
always
usually
have an
a fight.
excuse.
There's a fight. There's a pushback. So I want to know, ladies, please let us know in the comments why. Why do we get called insecure? Why do we get called all these names when we're like, hey, I have a feeling about this guy? Like you gotta us guys, we pay attention to everything. We pay attention to posture, facial expressions, demeanors. We don't just pay attention to the energetic field like women do. We pay attention to everything. We pay
Right.
attention to tonality. Everything goes into account. And that's when we know this motherfucker's fake. This motherfucker has other things. I'm not pointing at anybody. This motherfucker's got he's got something else that he wants to do to us.
Guys
And
will put
women,
on,
when the
guys.
vibe is right, they'll be like, oh, no, I feel the energy seems good. Until one day the energy's not good. And by that point, sometimes it's a little bit too late.
So leave your comments, leave your messages. You can DM either one of us, but don't call me and give me the fucking whole review on it. Leave me a message. Because after Vato asking this question, I'm getting the feeling that we might do a little quick 30-minute podcast answering all those questions just for you ladies. And we might bring in ladies in here, so
And we're gonna
leave your answers.
prioritize. We'll
For sure,
prioritize
leave your
the
answers.
questions that are asked on YouTube. I mean, guys, I don't know how you guys feel about this, gentlemen, but we are gonna try to prioritize the questions that are on YouTube and Spotify versus you guys DMing me, because I get over 200 messages a day sometimes, and I did not
Yeah.
have the time to go through all that shit.
Yeah. Comment on the podcast, comment on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. Your answers will be answered first. Your questions will be answered first.
Yes.
Any direct DMs will be pushed last.
So I have
Good
something
luck.
to add. So I have something to add to that then, if that's what we're doing here, if we're asking questions on the. So something I heard. Okay, I want to know if you guys have heard it too. And it's gonna spark up some shit, but you know what? I like to light fires. I'm summer and I'm hot, and it's fucking. I like to light fires. But anyway, somewhat of a pyro. I heard. Okay, I've heard it on multiple occasions. Okay, whether it's on other podcasts, on whatever it's been, that a woman always has the next man in line. Do you guys believe that?
Yes.
And ladies, that is a question. You know what? Even the men, you guys can answer this too. Do you feel, ladies, do you have a man? Wow, I don't think anybody's going to give me a fucking honest answer about that anyway. But what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on that? Put that shit in the comments for us too. What do you guys think about that real quick? I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Just what everybody thinks.
They said 90% of women half of 90% of women, that's another deal too, have a backup plan for a relationship. Hopefully, I fall in that 10%. But I honestly do believe it, because about 90% of my exes introduced me to friends that they ended up dating after I broke up with them. So that's very believable. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how I feel about that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking backup plan, because I focus on one person only. That's just, I speak on on myself.
Yeah.
Are there options out there? Everybody has options. Doesn't matter if you're a faithful type or you're not. You always have options out there, but it's how you act on it. Me, I choose not to act on it because I'm focused on my girl only. But I do believe that. I believe that 90% of people do have a backup plan, and usually that's a female.
Yeah.
And that's the study, ladies. That was a study.
And that's
So we're not making those numbers up.
And that's why I brought it up. It's because it was a statistic, and I'd heard it, and it was an actual fact. They had polled. I forget the thing. I wish I had it in front of me.
Family counselor, or she was a family therapist, or a couples therapist. I forgot what she dealt with couples, right? Marriage couples.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I see that a lot, bro.
Yeah. So she did a poll, did the numbers, and most of the women that she talked to, the couples she talked to, they found out that a lot of these women had backup plans or backup man or someone in mind in case their relationship didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the reason I brought it up, because with it coming with and actually having facts and evidence behind it. That's why I brought it up. And I wanted to stir up some shit because I know somebody's going to get triggered off of it, and that's okay.
Fine.
Look, I'll tell you one thing about that. I've seen it a lot in the industry that I was involved with behavioral health. I have known a lot of like it's a high percentage of women that after their breakup they just go to the next person and the next person and the next person, and they don't allow themselves to put themselves in a healing place, which is a conversation for a different time, right? The whole healing subject. But men, when they break up, for the most part, a large majority of men will go into this hole of isolation. And depending on the effects that relationship had on them, because maybe that person wasn't the love of their life, but how it ended did not sit well with the guy. So they go into a hole of isolation and they kind of self-destruct for a moment until they realize that it's time to get out of that hole of isolation. And a lot of women do the same thing, but they don't isolate. They don't self-destruct. They self-destruct their anxiety and depression because they go from one guy to the next guy to the next guy, and they collect all these energies that are not needed, that don't allow them to heal. I'll tell you what, if Annie and I have talked about this before, if something was ever to happen, I'm gonna stay single for a long time. She's gonna stay single for a long time because we're building generational wealth, and we do not have the energy to let some guy come in and destroy that all the progress that we've made. And I have the same mindset. I don't want some woman that's interested in money to come and destroy the things that my wife and I have built for my kids. I know that will piss some people off. That will piss some people off right there.
I think everybody has their own way of healing and their process of healing. Okay, so we all have one life to live, right? I'm not going to sit there. For me, I'm not going to sit there and waste time crying over somebody, especially if I broke up. Right? For me, I know some people who probably watch this podcast probably like, "Damn, Mike, you go from one relationship to another." I do, but at the end of the day, if someone better comes around and has something I need, such as peace, happiness, I'm not going to let that pass. For example, I think we had this conversation before. All right. I don't break up with people like that. I don't. It's a process for me. So, as I'm the type of guy, like if I see something wrong in a relationship, whether it's something I'm doing or something we're both doing or something that she's doing, I'm gonna voice my opinion. I'm gonna tell her, hey, look it, this is what's going on. I'm not happy, or this needs to be fixed. Whether it takes both of us, you or just me, something has to happen. Because we live in this freaking world where it's a happy wife, happy woman, happy life. She's right when she's wrong, and she's still right. I don't live in that fucking reality. So in my past relationships, I would sit there. It's a 3-6 month process for me. I identify something. I'll tell the person, hey, look it, and based how I'm feeling, I'm not in love with you. I love you, but I'm giving you an opportunity to fix the relationship because you've been doing A, B, C, D, all the way to fucking Z. So if you want to stay in a relationship, we need to figure this out, compromise, or do something positive with this relationship. And let's say 3 months go by, I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling it, nothing's changing. I get looped back into the fake ass promises and shit like that, right? By 6 months, if nothing has changed, it takes one thing to trigger me to say, you know what, white flag, I'm fucking done.
Right.
So by the time I make that decision, I'm not in love with you anymore. All those feelings are put aside, and I'm fucking moving on. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, a year. If someone else that has the qualities I'm looking for in a relationship that brings, what do men want? Peace, compromising, communication, transparency, all these things that go into a good relationship. You think I'm gonna let that shit fucking slide because your society tells me I have to be fucking single for 6 months to a year? I'm 30 fucking 7, about to be 38. I got one life to live. You think I'm gonna waste that? Us guys, we got ticking. We got clock. internal clock, right? We don't can last for so long. Once we hit that 40, 50s, the shit gets a little difficult. I'm young at heart. So if a woman comes around, she has all the qualities that I need, and she understands me, and she compromises with me, she communicates with me, she's transparent, she brings me peace. I'm gonna take the opportunity. I expect other people to do that because, again, you have one life. You know how many people will sit there 2, 3 years still not over their exes? But you know how many times the right woman came around and you fucking pushed that person away? That could have been your peace. That could have been your happiness.
So basically, what Mike is saying here is he's got one life to live and he ain't waiting. If he sees something good come across, he's not going to let it go by. What you got, Mosca?
Well, we were talking about friends with opposite sex, and this should just turn to another fucking subject. So we're gonna end it there, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day. We'll talk about healing and relationships and stuff like that on our next episode, because obviously this is where this is going.
Welcome to the tornado.
Once again, if there's any questions, concerns, anything, leave them in the comments. Don't DM us. Just leave them in the comments. If you have to DM us, we'll read them. We'll reply back to them, but we won't reach out to you until we come back. But get ready, because we're going to be talking about healing, because somebody's a little bit emotional right now. Yes.
So wait, what was all our common senses? If you're going to be friends with exes, you need to
opposite sex.
Or I'm sorry, opposite sex. If you're going to be friends with opposite sex, you need to communicate. You need to communicate with your partner. Keep your partner in the loop
at all times.
Or if you're Mike, you just keep them completely away.
And respect each other's boundaries. Not only the boundaries that you're going to set with that person, but the boundaries that your spouse, partner says, hey, I don't like it when you go out to eat with this person. I don't like it when you're hanging out at midnight with this motherfucker.
Well, that's different. I wouldn't be cool with that.
But on that note, fellas, have a good one. We're out. See you guys next week. Stay blessed.